Ladies and gentlemen, you have just seen that amazing...
The conditions that I have already continued to worsen as I have broken loose from all the string tickets and all the rubber rooms across these weak planets. And you, Andre the Giant, will realize that the power will become the eighth wonder of the world as we eat you alive. But you, ravishing Rick Rude, as I promised, you will surrender to the gods above as I beat you. 1, 2, 3.
Let's go back to the arena.
Bryce, as a kid, one of my favorite feuds was Rick Rude and the Ultimate Warrior. We know that it's going to be a feud through 89, and then even again in 90, he's going to be Warrior's first opponent. I think your first SummerSlam, you mentioned SummerSlam 90. They're in the main event in the big blue steel cage. Look at all the snaps on that belt, Tony. If they get another shot from that camera angle, they had to add extra snaps for Rude's belt. It goes all the way to the plate.
He's too thin, right? His waist was too thin.
His waist is so tiny that they had to add all those extra straps. Anyway, this is one of my favorite feuds from the era, Bryce. Where does Rude and Warrior rank for you as a kid in your kid fandom?
I think he legitimized the Warrior, right? Because if you look back, the three best matches, maybe the Hogan match at WrestleMania 6, 3 of the 5 best matches that the Ultimate Warrior had in WWF in this era were with Rick Rude. WrestleMania 5, SummerSlam 89, SummerSlam 90. He knew how to bring out the best of him. He knew how to play to his strengths. And I don't know. I get this. I get the feeling Rude was calling most of those matches and kind of steering the ship. But Warrior came out of all 3 of those better than he went in, and that's kind of the idea of a heel trying to get over a babyface. And clearly the trust was there. They put him, he beats Hogan at WrestleMania 6, and his next stop is Rude at SummerSlam in a steel cage. Like, they must have had real trust in Rude's skills to have Warrior come to that performance.
Well, back in the quote unquote old days, the heels always called the matches.
Okay.
I have a feeling that regardless of who the Warrior was facing, the other guy called the match.
Yeah.
But it was back. I'm talking back in the territory days before all the big TV stuff. The heel always called the match. That was the given. Ric Flair always called his matches. Arn and Tully always called their matches. Ole Anderson always called his. It was always the heel. And I don't know why that was, but that was just kind of what I always understood happened. Have you heard about that, Conrad? Did Flair ever tell you that? The heels always called the matches?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris Hero has a theory. I know one of our new friends to AEW, Tony, that kind of, compartmentalizes the wrestling match as like a Shakespeare play of 3 acts. The first act is the babyface shining. The second act is the heel steering the ship and the babyface taking heat. And the third act is the comeback. And in all those like changes from act 1 to act 2, act 2 to act 3 to the finish, that's kind of the heel's decision. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. I can follow that logic because the heel's the one that it's time to flip the switch. It's time to turn it around.
Right.
I think nowadays it feels like it's kind of a veteran rookie thing. Heel, babyface doesn't matter as much as the person with the most experience, or in our world, the most TV experience sometimes is more so kind of steering the ship. But it varies, I guess. This is a Tony question. These opening lines, these promos, like when you first came on the air at SummerSlam, what you said, what Sean Mooney said to the Honky Tonk Man, are those written for you verbatim?
I wrote the open to SummerSlam.
Okay.
And I had Bruce approve it.
Okay.
I know that, but now you just kind of go with it.
Right.
Because now I'm the grizzled old veteran who's done a million of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
You should see Conrad. Tony's the one steering the ship during these interviews. These guys, they're sometimes, we used to do these Orlando tapings we do Ring of Honor and Dark at the Universal Studios. And, Tony Khan would decide in the middle of the match that Schiavone was going to go out after the match and interview these guys. They had no idea it was coming. They're done with the match. They turn around, Schiavone's in the ring with the microphone and he's got a question for them. They don't know what's coming. And he's trying to steer them to answer and lead these horses to water. And it's really impressive to watch. You're smiling, right, Tony?
Yeah. Yeah, I love doing those type of interviews. I do. I think Orlando was the perfect place for us, for those kids to learn how to do interviews.
Yep. Low stakes, getting the reps.
Yes, absolutely. Just get in the ring and talk and see what you got. Because, again, back in the day, there was no script. You just talked. And talking is what drew money and what brought people in. And
made people care about you.
Yeah, make people care about you. Got your character over. So I just love going to the ring and doing that. I wish we did more of them. I really do.
I know.
I really love in-ring interviews. I love them for many reasons. I love look at that, man.
That's quite a bump there.
That is quite a bump.
Yeah, jeez.
And the fans are buying every bit of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're all into the Warrior. I mean, you know that they had to be paying attention. And that's actually something I wanted to ask you about, Tony. Like, you've told us before what a big deal Hulk Hogan's theme song was for the crowd. I mean, it became Pavlovian. They could be exhausted, long night of a TV taping or what have you, and then they hit that Real American and they just come alive.
Right.
I gotta feel like you were there to see similar reactions or starting to get that way with the Ultimate Warrior's theme song. What a classic theme song. It was just this crazy energy, and then here he comes just running to the ring. What do you remember of the Ultimate Warrior's reaction and as they grew on your timeline there with WWF?
Well, it obviously got bigger and bigger. I always thought that he didn't do a good enough job of milking the entrance, and I knew that was his character. He sprinted to the ring, he grabbed the ropes, he shook the ropes. Compared that to Hulk Hogan, who came out and and took his time and was talking as he came to the ring. But that's just the way the Ultimate Warrior was. I never got the Ultimate Warrior. I never understood him. The interview that he just did, it was like, let's go to the ring. I mean, and then
will someone close capture your podcast? They're gonna have a real hard time with that.
I just never, and of course, everybody says, he always blew up within the first 3 minutes of the match, whatever. That I'm not so sure, but you could see that he's taking his time getting back in the ring. Wait a minute, I got a text from Bryce Remsburg.
Oh.
No, it's not.
Hey, I've made the comparison, Tony. You were there for both. That Goldberg was like WCW's Ultimate Warrior. What do you make of that comparison as far as just they're over with the fans, they're big muscular guys, they do some power moves, they're usually short matches, but they've got a badass entrance and they're just big kick-ass baby faces. What do you think of that?
That makes sense. Goldberg did not have a strong promo. He was strong, big and powerful. Didn't really stay in the ring that long. But, of course, the Ultimate Warrior was kind of weird, because of all that he talked about. And Goldberg was kind of this real tough, rough former football player.
They're kind of signs of the times, like 1989, 1990 is neon and Ninja Turtles and these crazy colors and face paint, and then 97, 98 is Steve Austin and these dudes that don't take any shit and they just come in and kick ass, and these bald dudes like black trunks. Like I guess that's kind of because I feel like I was a fan for both those times, and I grew up with them. I was 7 or 8 years old here, and then I was 15 or 16 with Austin and Goldberg, and that was like they were both cool in their own way at the time.
Right. Yeah, well, the bald guys got you into puberty, and these guys got your childhood, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
look at me now.
Yes, I know.
Look where that got me.
It's all different stages in your life, is what it is.
Sure.
And it's what
I'm
was
sure
cool.
I'm sure you've heard this from Conrad, but a lot. I probably heard it from you actually. Your best touch point as a fan is kind of where you got on the ride. Like I think the best SNL cast is 92, 93, Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Chris Farley, Kevin Nealon, because that's when I started watching SNL. This is my sweet spot of pro wrestling. It's the Macho Man, it's the Ultimate Warrior, it's Dusty Rhodes music, it's the Honky Tonk Man's promos. Like this is it's very comforting for me, and it's just because it's my first memory of it, I guess.